What is up, guys? It's James from Cop Logic. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, if you could, please like the video if you do enjoy this content. It does make a massive difference to us, helps us reach more people. So if you could do that, really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, so we can keep you guys up to date with all your Liverpool news, especially now more than ever in these uncertain times. Without further ado, let's get into today's story, which is of course about Virgil van Dijk. Now, this story has been picked up by a number of outlets: The Athletic, The Times, Paul Joyce has been involved, James Pierce. So my assumption here is that this has come from the embargoed section of the press conference. And it is Virgil van Dijk talking about his future at the club. Now, I'm gonna take a look at exactly what he said first, and then I'll give my sort of views on what I think this actually means, because I do think there's a little bit more to it. This is a layered story. There's a little bit more to it than what is being reported, I think. So first of all, Virgil was asked whether he sees himself as part of the next era of Liverpool. You know, does he see himself as part of the post-Jurgen Klopp era? And he said, listen, I don't know. The club will have a big job on their hands. That is well known. To replace the manager and replace not only the manager, the staff is leaving, and there are so many things that will change. So the club has a big job on its hands, and I'm very curious which direction that will go in. But when that will be announced, we will see our situation. I can't say now. He went on to add, obviously, it will be the end of Jurgen Klopp's era. I'm very glad that I'm still part of it. That is why I don't like to speak about it. I am still part of it. That is my main focus now, and we will see at the end of the season. Hopefully, we have the success that we all dream of and fight for each and every day. By then, there will probably be more clarification about what the club wants for the future, and then we will see. So that's what he said. Straight off the bat, it's a perfectly normal response. There is going to be uncertainty for certain players in the club. They don't really know what to expect going forwards. What manager do we go with? And what is the ethos of the club going to be? What are the goals going to be? As a club, are they planning to continue fighting on all fronts at the top level of football? Is there going to be a transition period? We don't know just yet. It's all going to depend on what manager comes in, what backroom staff come in, and there is definitely an air of uncertainty for certain players, especially the more senior players, and especially the players coming to the end of their contract. This is a perfectly normal response, and I wouldn't get too worried just yet. It's perfectly natural for Virgil to be cautious about what he says. He's not going to say, yes, I'll absolutely be here. If we bring in if the club make their own decision with the next manager, you wouldn't blame any players if they wanted out. Equally, he's not going to say that he's not going to be here, because again, he doesn't know. If the club make the right decisions, if the club can convince these players moving forwards that nothing is going to change in terms of the goal of the club and what they want and the levels at which they want to succeed, then these players are going to want to stay at the club. So I'm not too concerned about his reaction. Of course, it's worrying because it's not a yes and it's not a no. So again, it leaves uncertainty not only about Jurgen Klopp's future, but now we've got to worry about certain players. The ones to worry about are Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. All of them are out of contract in 2025 and all will be due for extension talks soon. So those talks are going to be massive. So straight off the bat, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm not worried about. You know, he's playing at Liverpool Football Club. He's a local lad. He's a Scouser. He's at his boyhood club, his dream club. If Virgil van Dijk was to move on, he'd even become the captain of Liverpool Football Club. You know, it's a huge opportunity for him. So I'm not too worried about him. I couldn't see him making that move. Now, of course, there are caveats to that because clubs are going to take advantage of the Jurgen Klopp situation. Big clubs. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a huge talent. There will be clubs out there looking at him. There will be clubs that'll try and make offers, and with him coming to the end of his contract and those contract extension talks coming up, you'd hope that he wouldn't have his head turned. You'd hope the club wouldn't have his head turned, and that's the thing you've got to worry about here. It's not just about the players and whether or not they want to think about making the move, but also the club. You know, if the club receive the right kind of offer for Virgil van Dijk, the right kind of offer for Mo Salah, will they think, you know what, maybe the money's good, maybe it's time to cash in? These clubs will be circling like vultures. These are uncertain times at Liverpool Football Club, and it's going to be up to FSG to make the right decisions to convince these players that they want to stay. So in terms of Trent Alexander-Arnold, right now, I'm not really worried. You wouldn't expect him to go anywhere regardless of the situation. But in terms of Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah, I think those are the ones to worry about. And the reason is they're also fighting against time as well. You know, their age doesn't really help the situation because they can't afford, at the peak of their powers right now, to go through a transitional phase with Liverpool Football Club. You know, if we're talking about maybe the club need 2 or 3 years to transition with this new manager before they get back to a level where they're fighting on all fronts, where they're fighting at the top level of football again, Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk, they just can't afford to sit around for that. If they want to win more trophies in their career, they might be looking at another club that's at the top level of football right now that could accommodate them and that they could go and win a few more things before they finish their career. You know, ultimately, you don't want to end up in a position where Liverpool are back at the top level and these players are looking to move on or retire, because then they've wasted those years at their peak performance at Liverpool. And of course, that's not what any of us want. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but to avoid that situation, FSG need to make the right call with the next manager, whoever they bring in. They need to convince these players in these contract extension talks that the goals of the club have not changed, that the club still intend to fight for everything, to fight at the top level of football, still expect, more importantly, to be there at the top level of football. And that's all going to come down to not just the manager, but the backroom staff they bring in. You know, these players are going to need some serious convincing now. And, you know, it is uncertain times. I think for me personally, I want to see Xabi Alonso come in. I think that's the right decision. It's a manager that understands the club. He understands the fans. He understands what we expect as Liverpool fans from the club in terms of the goals that we expect them to reach, in terms of where we expect them to be on the football ladder. And I think that's going to be huge. I think that's the exact manager we need, not just to convince the players, but to convince the fans that not too much is going to change. We're all expecting that there's going to be some sort of transition here, but I think Xavi is the kind of manager that could come in and would kick off where Jurgen Klopp leaves off with the players that he's left, you know. And if we can convince these key players, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, to stick around for this next year of Liverpool Football Club, then that will be huge. But again, I don't think anything's certain. As I said at the start, I wouldn't worry too much about what Virgil said. I think it's a perfectly natural response. I think it's a normal response from anyone. You know, if you think about yourself, if you were in a workplace with an uncertain future, you know, things were changing, shifting at the top of management, you're not really sure whether you're coming or going, you know, you would start to look at other places and other options, and there is an uncertainty. And until you know for sure that you're going to be okay, you're not going to make these big decisions. And that's what he's done there. He's been very non-committal. It's not a yes, it's not a no, but it's all going to depend on FSG, whether they can convince these players. And the way they're going to do that is by making the correct decision with the next manager they bring in. And as I said, for me personally, I think it's Xabi Alonso, but we will make a video at some point and go through all the potential options, the pros and cons of everyone. But that's just my personal opinion. That's what I want to see happen. It feels like the right move for Liverpool. So yeah, uncertain times, but listen guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this story. Do you think Virgil van Dijk is having his head turned a bit here, or do you think it's just a perfectly normal response? People are overreacting to this, which is what I think it is at this moment in time. Like, I'm not saying he's not going to go, but I do think I would expect him to say this regardless. So I'm not too worried just yet. Let's wait and see. The key thing is who FSG appoints as the next manager of Liverpool Football Club. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Even if you would sell Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, is now the time? Maybe it is the time to cash in on those players. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let me know who you want as next manager of Liverpool Football Club. Could be key to keep hold of these players. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're not already, to stay up to date with everything, so we can keep you abreast of everything going on at the football club, especially right now with everything going on. And as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.